Hi Homeworthy, I'm Ned.
I'm Sarah, come on in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hello, my name is Ned. I work in the gifting business where we essentially create bespoke gifts for clients and consumers, and I've been doing that for about the last 15 years.
Curates the gifting world. Hello, I'm Sarah Corbett-Winder, and I'm going to use the word content creator, not influencer, and I'm also a designer. So I make women's suits, designed and made here in London, and I'm all about empowering women through feeling fabulous and wearing fabulous clothes. And we're here in our home in North West London, Wilson Green. And this is Margaret, our sausage dog, who's just had her 3rd birthday. So it took us a year to find this home, and Ned actually, which I'm very grateful for, was very adamant that we had lateral living for all our living space, so our sitting room and our kitchen, which goes onto the garden, which was really hard to find because in London, quite often the kitchen's downstairs and the sitting room's up here, and we didn't want to be doing that like up, down, up, down, up, down. And it's so lovely because the kids you could be cooking, the kids can be in the garden, Ned can be, I don't know, writing a letter at his desk or something studious. And I think having that space where we can all be together was key, so that was a real key element.
Yeah, and I think the house itself, we were looking around different properties, and having 3 kids, we kind of knew we needed some space, and so actually the house is a little bit further out than where we were previously living.
It's been worth it, and it's nice and wide as well.
Yeah, but the house we took on was a wreck, and I think that was part of the challenge, or part of the kind of fun process we saw.
So we weren't ripping out new bathrooms. Everything was, it was really not very nice, was it? There was sort of like a falling down greenhouse at the back of the kitchen. Everything was very rounded, so it was brilliant. We had to do everything, which we, being control freaks and having our own clear idea, we wanted to.
Yeah.
This is our hallway, and I think it's a really important room because, let's be honest, it's the first room you see when you walk into a house, when you walk into our house. So we wanted it to have character and great pieces of art and sort of set the mood for the rest of the house, wouldn't you say?
I would. It's got an Art
original
Deco
floor.
original flooring, which has been here since the dawn of time when this house was built.
We were very happy to inherit this, actually. I think this is probably the only feature that we've kept from the original house. We've kept these walls really neutral, and I think that was very deliberate, so we could smother it with lots of different art. But then you'll see if we go onto this wall, we've been a bit more playful. So we've got, I'm going to say, a brown colour with a sort of pale, pinky, sort of a little bit tonally colour above the panelling. And our idea was that this goes the whole way up the house. So it's the core of the house, and the stairs are also the same, this brown colour. And I think it really needed a core. It's almost a bit like a tree, like the centre of the house. And as we go up, you'll see that we've just smothered the walls in lots of various different pictures and memories and things, and jazz.
A few other bits by the door as you're leaving. You'll see, things like skateboards, footballs, things like that. The kids' toys.
But they're contained.
They're contained. Another feature you might like is also this. So, what you may not know is we used to have rabbits when we were here a few years ago.
Well, they weren't house rabbits. They were rabbits that lived in the house. I let them live in the house, and they ate the whole house apart.
So the stair gate was actually for the rabbits, not for the children.
But it's now a bit of a feature. This chair was picked up, actually Ned found this in a skip, which is probably one of our most prized possessions. Don't sit on it, but it looks lovely.
This was actually the rabbit hutch, originally rabbit hutch, but it's now the dog basket.
I wanted to create something a little bit dramatic here, so you've got some, Ned would probably say some dead foliage, but some lovely twigs and dried berries, with 2 lions that actually I inherited from my aunt when she sadly died, and I very much feel that they sort of protect the house, and they're a sort of quite an important point as you walk in.
You'll notice when we go through to the kitchen, but this piece of stone or terrazzo was actually an offcut, and I think you'll notice around the house where we've done bits of construction, we've almost used or upcycled the other parts as window ledges or window seats and things like that.
And this is actually a really cheap way to hide, let's be honest, not a pretty radiator behind it. So we just got some rattan, a radiator cover, and popped that in. But I think actually we do need to give this gentleman some airtime. So I found this gentleman when I was on a photo shoot in Turkey, and he just had to come home with us. He makes me laugh every day. I have no idea who he is, no connection to him whatsoever, but I mean, he's just marvellous, isn't he? Great. So we created this curtain, which is a corduroy, which is actually a really hard-wearing fabric for curtains. It doesn't just need to be on your clothes, your jackets or your trousers, and it adds a lovely pop of colour. So we actually bought all of these birds as a job lot from this reclamation yard, and some of them have broken or died or been knocked off by a child. So we've replaced them because we've kind of had to, but actually it's a really happy accident. So now you've got some plates in here, you've got a Hugo Guinness, which Ned gave me for my birthday because I love glasses. Some of them are empty frames, and it kind of just adds. And I think this is actually really shows and highlights the point that you're always adding to a home and you kind of work with what you've got, and there are quite often happy accidents. So before we go to the heart of the home, we're going to take you into our downstairs loo, which it's really small. We created it, it's literally under the stairs, and we've made it dark with some dark wallpaper, but we've smothered it in mirrors, which we think is quite clever because it makes it feel bigger. And again, we're always adding to these mirrors where, again, children, things break. And so it's just a constant circulation of mirrors. And if we're away, we pick up a mirror and just pop her on the wall. I feel like there's always space on your walls for something.
If you follow us this way, we're going to come into what we call our study or our library.
I call it the library, Ned calls it the study.
Exactly. And you'll see, I guess one of the main features of this is our kind of wraparound bookshelf. Sarah and I are both avid readers and collectors of just various art books and
books and stuff.
Books, trinkets, lots of different things in here, tell a story, whether it's a trip or a kind of family memory or an heirloom. We sit in here mainly on kind of weekends,
Saturday afternoon. We wanted to create a space where you wanted to sit and read a book. So not only is it the library, but it's also where you can sit and read a book as well. And actually, we often find our children doing that as well, which is great. It was kind of the point of the exercise. But what I think we wanted to create here was a burst of sunshine as well. So it's a sort of deep yellow colour. And you'll see when we go into the sitting room, that's a slightly different shade of yellow. And I think that colour, I'd say colour complementing was rather important, but this is a happy space and we love putting plates on the wall. I mean, actually anything can go on the walls, but I think particularly plates are they're just fun, and it kind of feels wrong, but it's right. This friend, I have to confess, is not real because I struggle to keep things alive, but she's amazing, and I feel like she brings the outside in just a different way. These are actually a new edition. Well, I say new edition, probably a year old, but we actually couldn't find them a home, but then we just gave the desk a bit more of a frame, and we think it works rather well, and it kind of adds a bit of grandeur to it, and you very much want to go and sit at your desk. I think with big pieces of art like this, it's about creating a mood. So we obviously look at this a lot, and I don't know if you agree, Ned, but I'm always like, I wish I was there, which I think is what we want it to do here, is you just float away to another world and enjoy their world.
And then if you look on the wall opposite here, we've got another piece which is quite captivating.
I think it's quite frightening, this piece, I'm not going to lie.
But you can, if you're thinking about the holiday here, you're thinking about another world here that you're walking into.
And I think this piece, though, I have to confess, because this was something I brought to the house, it's a tonal piece, probably more than actually what the subject is. But interestingly, we tried to make it work in the kitchen, above the kitchen table, and it was so lost, and we literally just moved it in here and it fitted perfectly. But I think she's here for her tonal value, to be honest. But I really think here is a good example of keeping it all from the same family. So we've got loads going on. We've got check, we've got stripe, more check. But I think the fact we've just got check and stripe, that is the kind of family here. And in a way, you can almost bring any colour in because of that. I think tonally, they all sit together. I mean, let's be honest, it's a blue and yellow room, isn't it? Yeah. Didn't quite realise that, but with a splash of green. But they're all talking to each other. And I think once you work out your palette and your family, you just stick to that. And then you just add in other little bits. And then you offset it with like something like totally random, like an embroidered, bright coloured beanbag.
The little car, so it was a gift for our first child for their christening, and the car was too big for the child, but over the years the children have got bigger and the car works pretty well.
It's quite often at your ankles, but we still love it greatly.
It's made by Bagaria, and it's an Italian, essentially, vintage toy car, which they can drive.
I think this is one of my favourite things though, which really wasn't expensive, and I'm obsessed with rattan. I think it's totally timeless, and I've just never seen it in like an art lamp form like this. So I love this. It also breaks the light and just makes it a bit more user-friendly. We're all about our kids creating like pictures and art, and we quite often frame their art, which is lovely because they're always like, is this going in a frame? Is this going in a frame? And I just think there's something so innocent about a child's painting. I mean, I wish I could sort of paint with that freedom. They always do the best art. But you'll see, this is actually a ashtray. I mean, anything goes with us on walls, anything.
Talking of frames as well, you might notice this is a Starbucks cup, and the story behind it is this is what I used to ask Sarah to marry me.
I said yes.
11 years ago, 12 years ago. The background story is she used to drink a complicated kind of chai soy latte type drink, and I surprised her one morning in the shop or where she was working.
Yeah, she accidentally spilt it, but we won't bring it.
But in Starbucks, they said, classic, what's the name? And I said, marry me, which they got very excited about. And anyway, they wrote it, and they wrote it really badly, so they asked me to write it. Anyway, marry me, I go and propose to Sarah in her shop with the coffee. At the time of doing it, I was so nervous I spilt it all over the floor. But luckily,
I was like, are you joking? Panting it all up, and then he kept remaining on his knee, and I was like, what's he doing?
Yeah. But yeah, that is the cup.
I think we're all about kind of creating a warm feel with lighting. I mean, I'm actually new to this, but I think lighting is actually really important. Well, it can go from like just being really aggressive just to being like calm, warm, flattering and friendly, which we want people to feel relaxed when they're in our home. So I think lighting is a key way to help that happen.
And I think lighting is important to have soft table lamps and
combination.
not so much an overhead light, but more of a kind of supportive candle light and lamps.
But I also think we've definitely become more confident as we've been here longer. Like this rug, I don't think we'd have put it down when we first arrived, but we've been here for 3 years, and I think the more confident you get with your home and the more you live in it, you're like, I'm going to do that. I can do that. And so, yeah, here we are. It's definitely, this is probably one of our most confident rooms, wouldn't you say? There's a lot going on.
Absolutely, there's a lot going along. When you look at it like this and you're asked to talk about it, you suddenly realise that there's a lot going on. But hopefully it kind of works in its own way.
Keeping to the family. So we wanted to create a station for the children, but a creative station for the children that meant when they're ready to go to school or we're going out somewhere, there's always that little bit of extra time. So they now very happily sit here, create, make models, do Van Goghs, Monets, like they're forever creating. And actually having it close to the front door, it was a happy accident. We didn't do this on purpose, but it very much means that they're always here and they're always drawing or busy doing something. So before we did this renovation, we lived a little bit further into central London, and we did a renovation which was, I'm going to be really honest, we were totally directed by Pinterest. The whole flat was blue. It was like geometric, blue wallpaper, blue floors, blue, 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 blue. And we loved it at the time, but I remember 2 months afterwards, we both looked at each other and we were like, don't like it anymore, I'm bored of it. So I think we really learned from that. So when we moved here, I was really adamant, like, not to be influenced by things or by people or sort of other interiors. And I really wanted us to work out what we were about as a family. So I think being slightly scarred from that first experience, we wanted it to be timeless and classic and not to get bored of it. And as you'll see, we've used, I'd say, some quite mature colours and just lots of stripes, really, which I think never go out of fashion.
Yeah, and I think probably how our roles work is that...
Our roles?
I was more on architectural sort of structure
layout,
and then Sarah was much more on colours and this sort of finishing details, but I think together we kind of had a nice mix where we both pushed each other, we both challenged what the other one thought.
It worked very well actually, because I think because we had our own roles, but we very rarely would put our foot down. I think there are probably once I did it, once you did it, but because it wasn't an often thing, we listened to the other one when there was a hoof put in the ground. Yeah, I think it really helped having our roles, but also it took a year to get planning permission, which in hindsight was the best thing in the world, because it meant that we really had to think about everything. So the layout, which Ned was on, and then the colours and the patterns, which I was on, meant we could really plan. We had time, and I think if we didn't have that time, we would have made rash decisions and perhaps been bored of things again.
Yeah, and actually the room layouts and structurally where our bedroom was, that changed 2 or 3 times.
Because of time. It wouldn't have done otherwise though.
Yeah, we would have rushed it and then probably
Whinged.
made the wrong decision.
Yeah.
Come on through to what we call the living room, or we don't even have proper names for them.
Sitting room.
Sitting room.
So this is probably our most, I'm going to use the word grand room. We put in, this is actually very much Ned's department because he was on structure. We added this panelling just to kind of create a bit of grandeur in the room and make it feel a bit more like a grown-up sort of, this is sitting room.
This is something I'd like to talk about. So the previous tenants they had a marble fireplace here, and so when we took on ownership of the house, there was nothing in the fireplace. And the idea was that we'd already discussed the sort of yellowy, earthy tones, and what we were going to do with the fireplace was a little bit harder to do. But we built this, or essentially, we built this from tiles with the builder, and very much kind of played around with just trying to get a contrasting to the wall colour.
But I have to confess, this was Ned's department, and he presented the idea to me, and I was like, "Oh, what are you joking? It's going to look like a kind of 18-year-old backpacker's fireplace." I was so against it. Anyway, I said my opinion, and then I was put back in my box, and I let it happen. I was thinking it was going to be a disaster, and all I wanted was one of those marble, fireplaces, which are beautiful. But I have to say I love this so much. As in, it's really grown on me, and it's great. So yeah, back in my box. So this green, should we call her a coffee table?
Futon
poof coffee table creation. Again, this did not happen when we first arrived here. This has been a latter thought when we've grown confidence with this room, and it made me feel uncomfortable at the beginning, but it brings another sort of vibe to the room, which I think is really interesting. It sort of offsets everything else, but it's still part of the family because it's kind of talking to the green fireplace. But this, I'm forever rearranging this. It's got like books, flowers, candles. It's just a real sort of, it's a display area, let's be honest. It's not really a user-friendly area, is it?
No, but shells from Holiday.
Shells from Holiday. And it's lovely. You can sit on it as well. It's a great piece. Actually really makes me smile, this green.
Yeah. The rug, the carpet rug, you'll see has actually, we originally bought it for a bedroom, but in our previous flat. But
the blue Pinterest
house. But this is from Istanbul. We found it in a bazaar, and just working with the manufacturers to sort of essentially cut it to the right size for the bedroom.
I think we love the ageness and the kind of the fact it's sort of seen so much before it came to us. Yeah. That vintage feel. And actually, weirdly, I feel like this would work in pretty much any room. This was a chair that Ned designed, and I think it might be one of my favourite pieces in the house because you sit in it. It's got because it's got its high back and its wings. You really can feel like you're in your own world. Like you can sit and read the paper, read a book, and almost it's like do not disturb me. And she's beautiful. Love her.
And you might notice there's a few scrapes on it in areas because it has been through our 3 different properties.
Especially the window.
And it's because it's so long, it's so wide, it doesn't fit through many doors. So we've had to take out window frames and lift it upstairs, and it's got the wall wounds to prove it.
But I love that. I think that's.
And this was when we were early dating. We were in Madrid.
That was it.
And we went to a furniture maker and essentially did some sketches because we wanted it to look like an old, I forget the name now, but a kind of tub chair almost like a priest chair. It kind of had that styling to it, but
it's like a private chair.
And so we worked with the furniture maker to produce this.
I like things en masse. I don't really do things in halves. It's either all or nothing. So one of my collections is collecting Staffordshire China dogs. And this is some of my friends you'll see throughout the house. They appear in other places. But I just think they're great. It's constantly what I'm searching on eBay. And they just make me really proud, like my pooches. And also China fruit. You'll see lots of China fruit around the house. But this, I think, is one of mine. She's a good one, isn't she?
And whilst we're here as well, these actually are very good fake flowers.
Aren't they great?
So my business also sells them, but they're great because they can be arranged. You can change how they look, all of that. And again, they're a great timeless way of not being able to kill something. So back in the day, my dad used to collect one-armed bandits, and he had, I think, in his time, a larger collection. But this is one that had my name on. Over the years, I've tried to fix it because it takes the old British 5p, but our son now has taken to sort of...
Occasionally we'll get, there's loads of money, and the whole floor will be covered in money, but it's kind of, we never know when that's going to happen. It's quite unpredictable.
But it was working until a few years ago, but it will be again soon.
So something we love to do, because upholstering sofas is really expensive, and this is a little trick when did we do it? Why did we do it? I think we did it because, so we used to have this sofa and it arrived with blue velvet cushions, but I'm going to blame it on a child. Something happened to one of the cushions, and I think actually we got it in our heads that we wanted to change this. I probably got it in my head that I was against this navy velvet for some reason. Anyway, we just reupholstered the cushions, which actually makes the world of difference to the whole sofa. It's a fraction of the price, and you can be quite playful with it. We've tried to, I'd say, frame the room by putting these two mirrors either side of this archway, which was actually something Ned created, and I think the detail in it is so lovely. And then lined it with plates, and I think it's so lovely that the plates are all the same. I think that's definitely something we'll try and do in our new house. It's just things en masse I think are wonderful. So Ned loves sailing and he collects boats, and as mentioned, I like things en masse. So I'm going to say it was
your birthday present to me.
Yeah, exactly. So I found the biggest boat that I could possibly find and carry home and bought it for him. And I think it'll be something we continue to collect. I mean, next year I'm thinking bigger. But yeah, they're just kind of make you just feel a bit at one with nature.
But also a practical part with this is because we live in London and you have the street behind here.
It's not very pretty out there.
It's quite a good way of just for security or privacy, just blocking off a bit of the outsiders looking in. So it works in that way rather than just having a screen.
As mentioned, we used to have house rabbits, and they had quite a good go at our curtains. So when they departed, we added some extra fabric to cover it up, and we kind of made a bit of a feature of it. Not going to lie, I think it's rather great. We'll definitely be stealing this for our next renovation. Do you know what? I really feel that one's wardrobe and one's house or interior taste are for me, they're very similar, and they work sort of alongside each other. So with clothes, I'm all about working out what your family is. So if you buy that thing at the airport when you've come back from holiday and it's that random thing that you get home and you never wear, it's because it doesn't fit with your family that's already at home. And I think it's the same with the house. So you work out your family and you think, does it, it could be a cousin, it could be a distant cousin like this bench in front of us. This is a distant cousin, but it still has some relation and connection, sort of sits with the rest of the things in our house. So for me, it's just working out your family and being true to your family. But also I think I have a playfulness. I try and be a bit playful with fashion. And I think I try and do the same with interiors. And at the end of the day, I think it's all about smiling and making yourself feel happy and be happy and laughing. It's sort of like, otherwise what's the point? And I think clothes and interiors should bring joy, and it should be a joyful, fun thing. We're surrounded by them or we're wearing them. So it's like our armour. It's like our sort of shop window, our presentation. Welcome to the heart of our home, the kitchen. I think it was really important to make this the most mega fabulous, friendly, user-friendly space, and I feel like it's a really, really important room. Our double arches here. So when we were doing the renovation job, the ceiling or the door heights were standard heights, but we wanted to essentially elevate this room and make it feel a bit more special. You wanted to, because I actually was like, let's get rid of this and just have a steel and have it so there isn't this middle, but you were adamant to keep the middle, and actually it's great because there's a core.
Yeah, and so this what looks like essentially a column or a plinth is made from a skirting board. It's actually plaster skirting board, but there's two of them butted next to each other, and then essentially they create that frame.
Terribly
and we've wrapped
clever.
it all the way around, so actually it gives a really kind of, well, what we think amazing effect for not a huge amount of budget.
And also it separates the rooms, but they're all sort of linked together, and you very much, they all have different roles. It's great. Ta-da!
The next thing I guess would be good to talk about is this table. This is a piece of essentially a big oak tree that had fallen down, and we created a table out of it. And so the actual finish on the table doesn't have a proper glaze or varnish. So when we have spills and stains, they kind of add to the charm and character. And then every now and again, we will just sand them back, and
really
it gives this
lovely.
sort of living texture to the table.
And I think having things like lamps, candles, flowers, everything on the kitchen table is always a must, like the more the merrier. And it's very much a table that homework, Saturday morning breakfast, dinner parties, we love having friends for dinner. And it's seen so many things, there have been so many happy memories. I think this is my happiest place, at this kitchen table in our house. We've got this bench here, which is, it was a lockdown build. Ned built this in, did you build that? No,
Yep.
It might be a lie.
Yeah, no,
Let's
I
say
did.
Ned built it in lockdown. And it used to be a dark mustard corduroy, so similar to this, but not this colour, seat. And one day we were ready for an upgrade, and I wanted to create a really big, thick stripe, and I couldn't find it. So we've just used different colours of the cord and patched it together, and it's really fun. I think it makes me smile.
Yeah, and actually, if you come and have a look at this, this is the drawing that we had sketched with the furniture maker.
She was like, "Are you
seamstress.
joking? I'm not doing this." Like, it was obviously just not a very nice job for her to have to do. Anyway,
But you can see the colouring of the different colours to work out.
and we were quite
what was gonna work.
particular about how it happened. And this is, I've always been a bit against gallery walls, like that sort of gallery wall situation, but I've come around to it, and I think for us it works really well here. We've kind of got everything on the wall. We've got Ned's mother, who's a wonderful artist. We've got pieces we bought each other, pieces created by our children. We've got candles hanging on the wall, terracotta plate. I think my favourite thing is our son, when he started school, I bought him these really unpractical navy blue loafers, and because I'm a bit of a manic clean freak, I'm quite often tidying away before you finished. Before I knew it, one had been put in the bin, and I couldn't find the other loafer, and I was livid. I was like, oh my God, he's got to start school, Anyway, I did throw one of the loafers away, but I was like, what are we going to do with the one loafer that remains? Anyway, she is now a piece of art, and I think it's all about having those memories. She makes me smile and reminds me of how busy I am at all times, and you make things like that part of the artwork.
And then you'll see here, we've essentially got the steel, which is the raw steel. When we did this extension to the kitchen, this was part of the frame, and we used to come to the site at least once a day, if not kind of a few times a week. And the builders, at the point we were coming, were trying to kind of cover this up and put it into plasterboard or to hide it, and we said absolutely not. We need it to be left exactly like
They
this.
thought we were bonkers,
and
then they're like, "Let's clean it."
Yeah, even the markings on there are the original ones from the steel yard. But we just think it gives that sort of industrial feel in what is a quite traditionally proportioned house, and gives that sort of extra element of fun in the building as well.
And I think finding those little bits of character and just embracing them. I mean, it's now like very much part of the room. Kids' toys stored away in baskets. We obviously love our children, but I think things like that can very much easily be, hidden.
And then other playful touches, things like this vase, where actually it's a beautiful object that rarely sees flowers, but then that's sitting on an amazing marble plinth that's very, very heavy to move, but that almost acts as our trophy cabinet. So different vases or different lamps have lived on that over the years.
We created this cabinet. We actually looked to try and buy a vintage piece, but we really struggled to find one that fitted in this space and felt like it could belong in this space. So we had this one created for us, and it houses all our glassware, plates, and we love the fact that you can see through it, and a bit like clothes for me. I think plates, glasses, they're all so beautiful to look at, so embrace them.
when we were doing the kitchen renovation, we extended 3 meters this way. And so the skylight was, we kind of wanted to have natural light in here. And so we built that as part of it. And you'll almost notice the surround on the skylight is the same as the column at the end of the room. So we kind of used this decoration throughout the house in lots of places. And then you'll see it picked up in the cabinetry in terms of the shelf here that Sarah's showing, and creating the...
I call them hats.
creating the arches above the cabinets.
And I think we wanted to create a kind of Moroccan, a bit like you're on sort of holiday, like relaxed vibe in the kitchen. And so we kept the walls raw plaster. And I mean, if one more builder came up to us, are you sure? Are you sure? Yes, we're sure, we're leaving it. We didn't treat them. They've aged beautifully, and kind of the more they age, the better. And it was, we were kind of nervous to have this colour cabinet, which I guess is just very neutral and cream. Well, I thought it might be a bit boring, but actually it's really lovely because it's just calm. I think because there's so much colour going on in the rest of the house that it's actually quite nice just to have a still, calm moment.
And colour-wise, I think what's interesting is, we mentioned before, we wanted this sort of earthy, quite organic, quite rustic, quite Spanish
feel. Ned used to joke
feel.
that we'd get called the brown family because there's so much brown in this house. But
you'll see the marble worktop for the island, tonally is similar to the orange floor. Again, that's a sort of polished concrete floor.
But with a coloured pigment in it, which is actually super easy to do. They just add a bit of dye to it.
Yeah, and then over here you have a kind of brown terrazzo, like pebble worktop. And so these three together, colour values wise, all feel like they're from the same story, but they're all different textures and different stones.
And you'll see here that there's lots of stuff, trinkets, bits, pieces. I collect china fruit and objects and just things that make me happy and hopefully our family happy. But I think it's organised chaos. Like, this all has a place. It's curated. It's not just like randomly placed. Like, trust me, after our cleaner comes, I'm very much moving things exactly into their right place. But I think a kitchen, I mean, any room, I think you can bring memories and pieces like this that just make it your own.
Yeah, and this frame actually, well, I went to art school, and so, at age 17 and 18, I was almost finding vintage frames at markets that were old Baroque gold ones, and then spray painting them. Some of them I burnt down, so they had this really interesting texture, and then would kind of modernise them. This was actually one of my earlier, almost just a test thing that actually has been with us for 20 years now. And
got a real focal point.
Got a focal point, exactly.
And a lamp anywhere for me is a good idea, and I love having this lamp on the island. I think a bit like the kitchen table, it's kind of a bit unexpected. It makes a place that could feel a bit soulless perhaps next to a cooker just a bit more homely and cosy, which I always think is lovely.
And then over here we have a couple of science experiments. These are our son's science projects of growing an avocado from a stone. So originally these started life as an avocado seed, which you put cocktail sticks in, and then it grows a root. And then once it's grown the root, you transfer it to a flower pot. And this is now maybe 6 months of growth. And then this is about a month and a half. So he's very, very proud of them. So they're pride of place on the island.
And often we'll sit at the island. We've got 2 stations for seats. So this side, do take a pew, and this side, and we'll quite often have supper here, or the kids will sit here and play. And I think it's about creating a space that you can kind of work in and use. So we collect trinkets, moments, invitations, sort of prizes, and I think a fridge is always like a constant work of art. And yeah, this is a lampshade from Ochre with a lamp base from Pookie, and we match them together. And I think we love the contrast, the kind of slightly unexpectedness of putting them together. But again, you've got a lamp by your sink, which you wouldn't normally have. And I think it's about pushing those boundaries a bit and just adding like warmth and coziness to a situation that might feel quite lonely, when you're washing up away on your own.
But I think another thing to mention is, it's sitting on a tile, and that tile would have been a sample for either this house project or something that we're working on. So there's that constant evolution of...
There are always things appearing. We wanted to create a larder that was almost like a sort of a cupboard larder, and it makes life, well, for me, so enjoyable. Things are labelled, things have a station, and I mean, go on in. It's just a happy place to work. And it also means that you use things a lot more when everything's labelled clearly and it's easy to use. We framed it with this red colour, which actually matches the crystal doors out onto the garden. And I think it works really well with the cream. It kind of makes it pop. And we added in the window at the top, which I always think a window inside is just heaven. I think it's because you sort of feel like it shouldn't be there, but it works so well.
So the bar, every house should have a bar. Ours is at the entrance to the kitchen. It gets used a lot, mainly on
Friday nights.
Friday nights.
Saturdays, it's busiest.
It's sitting on a tray at the moment, but previously we used to have a marble sink here, which has a good story that we bought it was the wrong size.
We bought it to be our sink and it was the wrong size. I was pregnant and it was made to measure. I rang out the company practically crying, was like, I'm so sorry. Anyway, they felt sorry for me, remade the sink again. Ned measured it, it arrived the second time and it also didn't fit. So we had to be like, okay, deep breath, what can we do with this huge marble sink? Anyway, it used to be our bar, but I think working out just a role for that piece when you have it is sort of, if you change your attitude to your house that like, I'm gonna make it work somewhere. And it was wonderful, it lived here and it had all our bottles in it. We actually just taken it to our new place in Wales where it is now going to be our sink. So now we've got a replacement, which is a tray, which I think does work actually just as well. But the tiles are left over from the kids' bathroom upstairs. So again, reusing. And it's just a lovely station, but with touches of, the odd tiger, the odd flower, the odd candle, the odd China chili, the odd shell, just random stuff that makes you happy. So this was a bit of, am I right, Ned? A bit of kitchen that we didn't use.
Yeah, it was a bit of corner.
And we just created a shelf with it, and it's just forever constant moving bits of art, quite often our kids' stuff. But yeah, we've just sort of added another shelf.
Yeah, it was a cheap way to do a shelf that had the same story as the kitchen cabinets because it's made from an offcut from them, and so it works really well. Pictures can just sit up against it.
I would say our style is classic, playful. I'd say it's quite earthy, wouldn't you? There's quite a bit of brown, which Ned always jokes about.
Yeah, we kind of wanted the kitchen to have almost like Spanish sort of rustic charm to it, and those earthy tones. And then I guess where also there's that sort of British classical appreciation of design and design features.
There's lots of stuff as well, but we're definitely at the more maximalist area of things. But it's always like trinkets and stuff and bits we find from our travels, holidays, work trips, like going out to a restaurant. I mean, we've got a napkin framed. Like, there's just, I think a home is all about bringing your memories back to the place where you sleep and live.
And also an evolving process. There's
always.
There's always new things that we're inevitably sort of trying or testing or
moving around
or moving around. Exactly.
Changing.
Sarah loves to move around.
Love moving around, especially on a Sunday night. But I also think, which Ned's really good at, which I'm not as good at, is Ned will push us. So for example, this green bench in front of us, I never would have gone for that colour. And when we did it, I felt really uncomfortable. And now I absolutely love it. And I think you do need to push yourself with design, and it's good to feel uncomfortable. And then you'll learn to love it.
Yeah, I think that's something we say a lot, is that if you feel comfortable straight away, then you're going to get bored very quickly because you're sort of used to it, you've seen it, it's safe.
And also we see so much, all of us do, like you're constantly like stuff.
Yeah, but I think it's important also not to create something that isn't you, and I think that's also something that we try to...
Yeah, no, I think, and I actually go back to my point, and it sounds really like, oh, marvellous me, not being influenced by other things, but I was really adamant that we worked out what colours we actually liked, because also so much before you know it, you've recreated someone else's kitchen, and it's kind of, and you sort of pretend cooking away, and you're like, it's not really me. So I think it's being honest with yourself. So this used to be the playroom, and then we had another child, and it had to become Lion's bedroom. And we've filled it with stripes and done it on the ceiling as well, which I think kind of creates that like slightly circus feel. Very much a boy's bedroom, a sort of happy, fun, creative place to play and sleep, really. Everything in here is green, and you'll see we've kind of done that in quite a few rooms. pick a colour and just only let that colour into the room. So here it's, I'm going to say green and mustard. Do you want to explain what this bed is?
It used to be my top bunk bed.
But who built the bed for you?
Daddy.
So this was built by Ned in lockdown. Lion said he really wanted to have a high bed, and Ned amazingly built this.
But yeah, this Lion and I built this as just tinkering, seeing what would work best. We built it kind of for his toys and his teddies, and just to give the room, because the room is not huge, it kind of gives a bit more space within that by giving him a second layer. We went to B&Q, which is like a home base, just bought bits of timber and kind of, you know, almost manufactured it based on what we thought it should look like.
I think we made a real decision though not to, I mean, I'm kind of slightly allergic to all of the plastic and generic things that maybe some children's rooms are, so we kind of, I've directed them for them to be perhaps a little more on the grown-up side, but they can have their bursts of fun and colour with toys and things. The collection over here of rattan animal heads, which we've collected from our travels. They sort of surround Lion's room. I think a denim lampshade is always a really good idea. This actually was DIY'd a bit by us. We cut the shelves out, Ned cut the shelves out, I painted it. Again, another lockdown moment. And toys stored in baskets, always a good idea.
Master Wu.
Right.
And how long have you been making him for?
2 days.
So Lion loves Lego, and this is a station where hopefully none of his sisters can come, and he can store things, restore things, and yeah, have sort of a bit of Legoland.
You'll notice a mirror from downstairs, more corduroy curtains. So these are big, chunky, essentially brown cord for this room. Tonally, I think works with the wallpaper and just the scheme of the house.
When Lion went from having a high bed, and then it was sort of time for him to have a grown-up bed, and we actually were going to get rid of the station above it. And we actually, Ned was like, let's just keep it. It might find a place. Anyway, we didn't measure it or anything, but it actually worked perfectly that his bed fitted underneath it. So unlike me, he would have chucked it away instantly. We kept it, and often things like that can work out very well. And I think it's trying to add that slightly more classic, maybe a bit more grown up element to a child's bedroom, which is going to be childlike anyway, because there's going to be a child in it, and it's going to have that feeling of fun and playing and joy. So I think you can be sort of classically playful in a child's bedroom and make it more of a visual feast for the adult perhaps as well.
I guess I've been doing Not Another Bill for 15 years now. It originally started as a subscription service, and it was where people would subscribe and we'd send them a surprise present in the post each month. And the name Not Another Bill was sort of, you know, essentially because people just get pizza menus and bills, and the idea that, you know, you pay a monthly fee and you choose who you're going to gift it for, and then I would essentially source these products and designs from different designers and makers and car boot sales and things like that originally, and then share them with our subscriber base. So that kind of product was always a huge part of that, and, you know, homewares and design were all just different sort of variations of those products. But that's been the backbone of the business, which is very much like centered in design and product curation, and essentially producing beautiful items that would kind of help tell a story and are creative. And actually, you know, the business has evolved a lot more in recent years, and we now do gifting for brands and consumers.
And I think actually quite similar. We both try and bring you lots of joy in your lives.
Yeah, joy.
Smiles.
Off our son's room, if you come through here, is then our daughter Celeste's bedroom, and this is a much smaller bedroom, but it sort of carries on that same sort of theme where the ceiling has got wallpaper. For this theme, it was green and green, which actually used to be our son's bedroom, but he moved out to the playroom, and Celeste is now in here. And if you look in here, this has just got a lot more kind of softer decoration to it, more wall tapestries. She's got her tiny little wardrobe here, and then a little princess bed, which she's now grown out of.
Who's that?
Monkey.
This is Celeste's favourite friend, Mousy. Why do you love your room so much?
Okay, Mousy, open that.
So we've been quite traditional in that our boys' room is green and our girls' room is pink. So we wanted to make our daughter's bedroom not your traditional child's bedroom. We've used a fabric by Sarah Van Reynen, which I just love, the obviously brown and red and classic florals with it, teamed with a probably softer, bit more girly pink stripe. I love the combination together and I just love it on impact. So for the bed head and for the curtains, kind of everything in here is just pink and girly, and I'd love to have had this room when I was younger. We've also put art on the walls, which you might not necessarily think to put on a young girl's wall, but I think that's part of the joy of it. And she's surrounding, I think it's so lovely and influential what you surround your children with. So beautiful things. So her little desk / dressing table, which she loves so much. Nancy does her hair here in the morning. She's got her jewellery box, all her hair clips, her lip balms. It's a very sweet little bamboo desk and chair, which actually they're from Bonton, they're vintage, and I feel like she has lots of happy times and happy moments here. Again, her toys are all here, but organised in a way like they're more than welcome to make as much mess as they like in the day, but they have to tidy everything up at the end of the day, and I feel like that's a good discipline for them to get into. This is a very non-fancy wardrobe, but we've added some Beata human door handles to it, and I think it's just a lovely way to update, just add a bit more character to something. I also really love these bows, which are on either side of the doors, which I think I got those for Nancy when I knew having a girl. Just a happy memory. I think it's kind of, I think we would never want to have to forfeit not having them around. So it was like we needed to make a way that our children could live around beautiful objects and things that were perhaps more precious to us. And I guess we've taught them that there are things that they can't touch and they've got their toys and where they can play. I mean, they very much can play anywhere in our house. Like they'll pull the sofa apart in the sitting room and be jumping around all over the cushions, but they have to tidy it up and they are respectful of things and they don't break things. Well, I say that. They don't generally seem to break things. And I think you teach them that there are boundaries and things that mean a lot to you. And I think it's important that they grow up with those boundaries, but also grow up being surrounded by the beautiful things that you like to be surrounded by too. We recently put this little mirror in the hallway, which is where the children brush their teeth, which is always, it's one of my favourite sights in the evening, and just watching them in their pyjamas brushing away at their teeth. She's brown on brown, which I always think is a nice thing to do. So colour on colour, the same colour on the same colour. And this is always, this chair's often turned round. They're vigorously brushing in their little pyjamas, and there's always a happy moment happening here.
Mm-hmm. And in terms of art as well, we tend to sort of group themes together. So here we've got a series of
we like things in boxes,
geometric, almost like mathematical drawings, and they line the corridor here. And then we've got a series of fish that join this wall, and then we've got botanical prints on this wall. So trying to kind of have sections where there's clear, definitive themes, and then almost the tabletops are a bit more chaotic. But come on into the kids' or the family bathroom,
which is just red. Everything in this room has to be red. Do you go on in? So we played on stripes and colour in here. The whole bathroom is red, and it was actually Ned that made the rule. You're only allowed in here if you're red. Don't look at the flippers. But we've run stripes this way round as opposed to this way, which we would normally do. And it's kind of made the room feel wider. And you'll see just things are collected, added, plates, pictures, sort of anything red. And Ned, growing up, always had lots of little boats in his bathroom. And we've sort of tried to recreate that on this ledge. So we're forever collecting boats from wherever we go and just adding them in.
And for the bathroom tiles, we've got a Burton May hand-painted tile, which we've run all in the same direction to create that sort of striped feel, which mirrors the wallpapers as well.
Growing up, I always had a sofa in our bathroom, and I always remember my mum sitting on it while we were having a bath, and I think that's a moment I wanted to recreate here. And I think having soft furnishing in a bathroom is really lovely for your guests. I think when we were sort of thinking about doing the house, we had stuff that we'd collected over the years, and I guess we weren't really that sure of what to put where. So to give each room a colour seemed like a logical thing to do, and actually then it turned into a real thing that we did. So it's great for redecorating it because you just get all your red things and park it in there. But I think with the colour throughout the house, I very much tried to balance it. So you don't see a lot of the same colour. So this is like the red. Lion's room is very much the green. Nancy's is the pink. So you then park things accordingly.
Do you like the red bathroom? Yeah.
What do you like most about the bathroom?
The shower.
The shower.
Do you want to put your flippers on?
And if it wasn't red, what colour do you think we should have made it?
Orange.
Orange, good choice.
Nice choice.
Nice choice. And again, the bathroom has an eclectic mix of art. You'll notice up here, this is a tea towel actually from
That's from our first date,
our first
second
date.
time round.
Sarah kept the tea towel,
And I framed it at our 1 year anniversary.
Yeah, because it's cotton.
Yeah. Pictures don't always need to be on the wall. I mean, we really enjoy these just hanging out in the hallway, like just a bit of wall furniture on the floor.
Yeah, and I think it's also not knowing where it's going to go is one of
Might
those
probably
excuses.
the reason. This is a landing, which actually I've always wanted to have landings. I don't know why, they make me so excited, and I love to have. It's almost a station that it's not doing anything apart from just being a visual feast and a place that you might occasionally just park yourself and just have a moment to yourself. I think a landing is a calm place. I know it's obviously got lots of stuff here, but it's a pop of colour.
You've got the kind of Roman columns running as a bit of a theme in various different places. You've also got, we mentioned before about the tiles and things living on tiles, but this was a tile from our original...
The blue Pinterest flat.
Our earlier flat, again, where we sort of were testing things.
Yeah.
But they come with us. It's part of the journey.
Totally.
The chair,
Yeah.
the blue striped chair, it was never blue striped, but when it kind of came in here, it had this slightly odd pattern, and we upholstered it into that stripe. And again, I think it's that sort of play where the chair would have been traditionally something a bit more traditional, but giving it a new life now.
So I work from home, which I actually really love. I was a bit worried at the beginning I wasn't going to like it so much because I'd feel I would always have to be working. But we actually renovated our spare room into my office. So it's on the first floor, so you can very much shut the door, which I think is really great. And you can actually see here on this wall, this is my spring-summer collection. So I design and make suits for women, and this is part of my spring-summer collection. And they're all designed and made in London. I make short runs of everything, and I hope that they make women feel fabulous. So excuse some of the linings, they're not all perfect, but we'll be embracing lots of linen this summer, which I'm really excited about. This is a new jacket shape, which has got short sleeves and just has a very sort of chic feel to it. Ideally worn with a jean. We're embracing a Bermuda short for the first time this summer, which I think is going to be really fun. And we are collaborating with Liberty as well with some of their lovely floral prints. This is another new shape for us, a slight waistcoat shape. What I'm most excited about though is this strawberry linen suit. How great is that? And also this denim banana jacket, which is a slightly oversized shape. I mean, her just worn with a pair of Bermuda shorts would be amazing, or like cut-off denim jeans, white t-shirt, tan sandal, belted. I mean, great fun. So with my brand Kipper, which is actually, it's called Kipper because the first female tailors when they started on Savile Row used to travel in pairs. So the male Randy tailors wouldn't touch them up. And I play on the nautical sort of fish, like lol side of things. And these are actually from my first photo shoot I ever did where I was on Brighton Beach in big big flippers. And I think adding that playfulness it's just always makes things way more fun. I feel this room it's quite packed and it's quite full, but I think actually to be creating in it's wonderful because there's always things to inspire you. There's always something around you, and it's just a really happy place to create in. This is painted by a lovely artist called Lucy Mahon. We originally had this room painted as it was actually called Livid. It was a blue colour, and it was a little bit livid. It didn't bring much joy to us, and we tried to work with it. We kept trying. Anyway, we wanted to add more stripe, but we felt like we'd exhausted the striped wallpaper. So it was actually Ned's idea. He was like, well, why don't we just paint the stripes? And it adds a different feel to the rest of the house, but it's got that sort of artist, sort of hand painted, because it is, feel, which I think is really lovely. And I think that makes the room feel very calm. So even if there's lots of things and bright things and madness going on in here, and there's, you know, deadlines, etc., there's still got a sort of moment of calm, which I think is really lovely. When we were working out the layout of the house, Ned and I really wanted to be able to have our own area. As much as we love our children, we just wanted to have our own space for us. And it worked out that the top of the house meant that they almost didn't have to come through us. So they obviously can come up to us, but they're here and then we're above them, which I think works really well, don't you, Ned?
And on the stairs, what we were keen to build was somewhere where we could put our art and our kind of trinkets and treasures. So we got a special ledge built here, and this just becomes a kind of roaming gallery with where we swap out.
Forever evolving gallery.
Exactly. And then I'll let Sarah talk through this collection of her shelves.
So when we were renovating this house, we were staying in a house that meant where my bags were stored was in a bookshelf. And I was like, this is absolutely genius, because I can see everything, I can use everything, and also I love my bags, so why not make them a serious feature? So we then these are actually old bits of part of the kitchen that we didn't end up using. So they became some shelves, and we added some additional shelves because I have a rather large bag collection. And then you'll see here there's a cabinet also for more bags. But, you know, bags are a piece of art, and I think the way you display them is really important for also the way you use them as well. But I love bags and accessories and anything fashion, so for me to have it out on display is a real treat. This is Ned and I's area. So this is our bathroom, Ned and I's bathroom. I think because we have the space, we're very lucky we've got our own sinks, which I think might be a key to a happy marriage, which we both enjoy very much. You'll see we've added some lights with our initials on the top, just in case we forget which sink is whose. And these actually were picked up in an antique market, but sort of add a bit of joy and playfulness to our bathroom. We put the bath so you can sit and face out the window, which, I mean, it would be lovely if we were looking out to the countryside, but it is really lovely to have that feeling of space and escapism, which we also tried to achieve with this picture above the bath, which neither Ned nor I have been to, but it's creating a moment of somewhere that we would like to be, and it's a place that one day we will visit, and it's just, yeah, I mean, it looks great, doesn't it? This bench was a wedding present from my uncle, which is probably one of our most prized possessions. It is so comfortable and just slots in anywhere, and it feels like it's kind of been there for forever. It has clothes put on it, towels put on it, children put on top of it, dogs put on top of it. You can sit while someone's in the bath. Just a very joyful piece. So Ned and I love an exposed loo without an actual door. We love the openness of the kind of like, I guess we wanted it to feel a bit like you're in a loft or like an apartment. So this is our loo, which we've smothered with pictures, and the striped wallpaper connects to our bedroom, but it was very much an afterthought. We didn't arrive and do this straight away. So I think as our confidence grew with the house, so did our sort of ability to push things. And a stripe, kind of obviously it was going to be a stripe.
And here is our bedroom, and I think one of the first things you might see is how high the ceiling, or how the ceiling is working. And when we were renovating it, we essentially exposed the eaves and then ran wallpaper all the way up it, which gives a really nice kind of airy feeling, even though the room traditionally was a little bit less high ceilinged. We've followed a sort of similar colour theme of the reds and, well, I guess reds and greens in here, isn't it?
If you looked at the house technically, we probably should have taken the room downstairs where my office is, because it's got the beautiful bay windows. But Ned and I were adamant to have our own space, and it was actually our architect that said, open up the ceiling And we were so thrilled with what we found was these amazing beams, and it's just totally transformed the room, and we couldn't love it more. And the kind of craziness of the stripes as well, which one of Ned's comments before we did it was like, are we going to feel sick being in here? But actually it kind of works, and it makes it cozy, and it just adds to the, I guess, the bonkersness of the whole house. This is actually an old street lantern, which we just needed one, and I kind of love the way it's not your traditional light, but it sort of, it works in here, I think. We tried to find a bed, and we couldn't find one that fitted the space or that we sort of liked visually, that also wasn't an absolute fortune. So we had one created for us, and it's quite a masculine bed, but I feel like it fills the space and the room really well, and definitely adds some sort of I'm here character, doesn't it?
Here this is the old flooring. So in the olden days, when I think this must have been a room with its own open fire, when we pulled up the floor, we found this essentially the old ceramics to it, and then we decided to put a wood burner in as part of that to kind of keep that history alive. And actually the linking floor from the bathroom, also this is also the vintage, or not the vintage, but the original flooring as well, which is quite nice. That kind of has a bit of that old story, but then with softer fabrics.
We love to add trinkets wherever you can. So you've got the bit of Staffordshire, some boats, a fish, just anywhere you can add in stuff. We like to add it in. This is also where we've done that cushion situation again. So this arrived in a green, just a green wool, and we added, playing on the same colour, but we added some tartan, which I think just makes it a bit more interesting. Also makes it your own. So this has to be my favourite room in the house. As you know, I work in fashion, I work with clothes. I love clothes. So this is very much my collection, my happy place, my tools, my sort of everything is in here. You'll see that we kept the cupboards exposed, so there's no doors on it. And I think, like the bags, I love being able to see everything. Not only does it make it more user-friendly, but I think it's a wonderful feast for your eyes. Every 3 to 4 months, I get everything out. I try it on, I reconnect with it, I sell it, I pass it on to charity, I give it to a friend, and then I reorganise the whole thing. And I think it's really important to remind yourself what you've got and fall back in love with things and move things on. It's almost like a sort of cycle, a continuous cycle. And having everything here just makes me so happy. And I think because it's open and you can see it, it means you really keep it tidy because you're respectful that you're looking at it. But it's such a joy for Ned and I. He has an area of the wardrobe, but it's a really happy place for us in the morning where we both have our space, we get ready and we sort of chat across the island. I'm this side, he's that side, and we sort of do our thing and get ready for the day and put our armour on. So here I've got jackets. I don't organise things by colour, but I organise things by suede and leather, summer jackets, cord, tweed, more winter jackets into slightly more sort of coat jackets. Then we've got the trouser selection. We've got shorts at the top, skirts, winter trousers, denim, down into summer trousers, evening wear trousers. So if I'm going out in the evening, I'll go to my evening wear station. And it just makes getting dressed quite user friendly. Then we've got waistcoats, lighter jackets, shirts, which actually is probably my most common area that I'm in. I love this. Bit of a sailor twist on life. That's like a nautical theme. Coats and jackets are probably one of my sort of weak points, but I feel like you can just never find, I just always keep finding ones that excite me and make me just want to have them in my lives. Then I've got dresses and then into long coats, which I really do just think are the best. You just can't beat a good long coat, can you? Also a cape. I've got really into capes these days. We've got a check, we've got a tartan, we've got all sorts. And then we've got boots, we've got summer shoes, we've got trainers, we've got ballet flats, but they're all in their station. They're all in their box. They know where they are. And then we've got glasses, which, I mean, I think choosing your glasses is just like sort of choosing your accessories. It's a really, really important part of an outfit. And it's one that's the final touch of my outfit. And I'll quite often be saying to Ned, is it these? Is it these? Is it these? And I think, you know, you can have fun with it. So we've got jumpers, we've got cardigans, we've got tanks, we've got t-shirts. These I think are my best though. I mean, I'm obsessed with a scarf. I love, love, love tying a scarf. I think there's nothing more amazing than just adding a bit of neck furniture. But these are H&M rattan boxes, and they're just great because you can kind of pop it all in and then they fit on your station. Voila. So this is where I do my hair, do my perfume. I love mixing perfumes actually. I feel like maybe you're not meant to, but rules are there to be broken, aren't they? I love making my own sort of creation in the day. I love coming to add my jewels, my sort of brooches, my finishing touches. This is kind of probably where the most creativity happens because it's sort of really trying to make that outfit fully complete. My girls are often up here running around with earrings, necklaces, and I try to remain really calm and let them express themselves, / I'm like, please put it back immediately. But it's a really fun place that I love being in, and yeah, just I love collecting and adding to it as well. What's your name?
Hello, I'm Lion.
And who's this?
Hello, I'm Margaret. Hello, my name's Nancy. My bunny.
You love your
what
bunnies.
else? There must be something else. We're at your desk where you do your hair in the morning.
Where you blow dry your hair in the morning. Okay, Celeste, what do you love most about home? What do you love most about your bedroom?
Mousy.
Okay, Lion, what do you love most about your bedroom?
Margaret.
Nance, what's your favourite room in the house?
My bedroom.
What's yours?
The kitchen.
Why do you love the kitchen?
Because my duty's been doing anything.
What makes home a house?
Home a house, house a home.
I think what makes our house a home, it's probably going to sound a bit corny in this one, is these guys and the energy that you sort of, the kind of mess and chaos that they create.
So I'm always trying to tidy up.
I think, there's nothing better than a weekend or something where we're all together and there's just sort of inevitable mess and kind of playful creativity of art sets, and Lion's got a new 3D printer and that's just printing out everywhere, and these girls are drawing on the walls. For me, that's kind of what home is. It's a sort of chaotic.
Happy chaos.
It's a happy chaos, exactly. Rather than trying to be kept too neat or too perfect.
Home for me, I think, is about creating a world that when you walk in from the outside world, you're very much in your own world and you forget about everything else from the outside world, and you create a place that you want to be, a place you want to be in, and that you feel you can kind of escape from the world. And I think a home it's never finished. I think you're always adding and you're always building and you're bringing memories home, and it's our world. Yeah, we've created a world.
Thanks for watching. Go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content and shopping guides.